Sorry guys, I got bumped off. Hold on a second. I'm coming back to finish up. Um, Forgive me guys, I got bumped off. Let me just finish this up. So number 4 was rational. Everything is balanced and properly. Then you got number 5, responsible. We see to it that we bring the piece to its goal, its climax, right? And then 6, that we're righteous. Every note is in the right place, in the right place and time. We're swinging hard, so to speak. Either if it's swing eighths or straight eighth music. And then number 12, songs that have no lyrics and are played just instrumentally, I find have an implied lyric, and that should be sought and found, or the melody should just be developed logically and organically. And then I mentioned about imagery, all the musical imagery, trying to. And then, so maybe I'll do like a little series on this. I don't know how many sharings it would take to convey all this, but then you take a song like "All of Me," and I'll have my mom sing the lyric with the melody, and we'll take each sentence, and we'll decide. I'll show you how I would decide to accompany that sentence. And you can judge me to see if it's the best possible way to accompany that person. That's my mother, she's singing, that person, her character, who she is, her age, her experience, everything that she's about, her personality. I would choose differently to accompany her than I would to choose to accompany somebody else, right? I've accompanied some younger folk who I might not apply those things that I would use for her, right? Because they wouldn't fit stylistically. So it's knowing the character for whom you're accompanying and what their message is, and then we'll take each sentence, what I hope to do, and show how best to accompany the message of each sentence, and then with a view and keeping in my head, every other sentence, so that everything fits in the whole and makes sense. And then we'll put together a work of art, God willing, even just one chorus. Mr. Maggio, I think he used to say something like, I don't know if it was him, I think he said something like, if I'm not mistaken, you should be able to say something meaningful in one chorus, Why play, some people play so many choruses and they're not saying anything. So take one chorus, and I guess people fault me, they say, one thing they say to me is I don't play long enough lines. They might be right about that, but would you say to somebody in English, hey, you don't speak in long enough sentences? Could you imagine that? I mean, I would, if someone was saying to me, yes, no. There's that old joke, Mel Blanc used to do this bit. Someone was asking him questions and he'd go, si, no, right? But yet it was so meaningful, and he said it with the accent, I guess he was trying to give a Mexican accent, and he was playing this Mexican character with a sombrero, but it was a skit, and it's a funny skit, but it just shows how little you have to say sometimes in communication. I think the most logical thing to do is get your message across in the least amount of words possible. And that's a challenge, to know how to edit out everything that shouldn't be there, right? So I guess that's that. All right, so then once you put together all the sentences and they form this beautiful work of art, right? Let's say we got one chorus, and let's say I got my mom and she sings one chorus so beautifully, it conveys the message of the lyric. You are transfixed. You're so mesmerized on every word she says, because she means every word, and she's saying it in such a way where it's conveying the message of the lyric. She has nullified herself, yet she's using herself, her individuality, her personality, to convey that message, right? And she has become one with the message, just as we become one with God when we fulfill His obligations. But so then she does a chorus, and then maybe I'll take a chorus, and now she turns it over to me, and I have to say something relevant and base it maybe on what she just said, and she passes the baton to me, and then I take it, and I have to then say something and develop it, hopefully just one chorus if I have to, not to bore anybody, right? And then And you can tell where you should look for the climax of a piece. That's it. Take hold of me. Why not take hold of me? Maybe the climax is on all of me, on all, or maybe it's on me. Well, it depends on maybe where you're coming from. We'll get to all those details later, but if you know where the climax is, and maybe that's power, that's that level of power, the fourth level, because if you know where the climax is, you can plan the rest of the piece. And here's another little tip, you know, look, I get a lot of tips from my friends. I think Mr. Maggio taught me to swing every scale. And then I knew from Sanford Gold to do them in tenths. Right? So I learned, and then I made exercises. And then I think one of my friends told me to do contrary motion. Right? You do that all 12 keys. So then you develop exercises. But I wanted to say something. What would I want to say there? So you take the piece and you find where the climax is, and then you lead toward the climax. Oh, so let's say if I took a blues, right? A blues might only have, let's say, a 12-bar blues. That's only 3 4-bar sentences. So can you imagine that? What a relief that is. I know I'm a musician. We musicians, we approach the piece, and sometimes we think to ourselves, oh boy, what am I going to say? But if you now narrowed it down to just 3 sentences, then that's so much easier. Oh, 3 4-bar sentences. All right. I said I was talking about, okay, I don't have to touch on that. I did it already. All right, I got to get to this class. I love you guys. I just thought I would share this with you and maybe motivate some thoughts. And if you have any ideas, put them in the comments section there and let me know, and I'll think about them and weigh them out. Maybe you got some additions to what I've just said, or something you feel doesn't make sense or something. Call it to my attention and I'll ponder it, and I'll try to give you my logical defense for why I said it, and see if that's acceptable to you, or else you know, we might not agree. I don't know. I think we should all agree. I think it'll up our level of musicianship and our level of music in the world. So you got physical pleasure, you got love, you got meaning, which is the level I'm shooting for now, meaning, and then power, when you control the sentences and you know exactly where you're going because you know where you want to climax in the song. And then on the highest level, you're one with God, and this music can bring prophecy. Have a good night.